Good evening. I'd like to call to order the regular City Council meeting of Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. I'm Julie Daigle, Ward 4 City Councilor and City Council President. All councilors are present tonight. Public participation in this meeting is provided in person and remotely via Zoom in accordance with Mass General laws. The Zoom link can be found on the city website. This meeting is also being televised and recorded by Peabody TV and the City Council stenographer. I'm going to ask our Ward 1 Councilor Craig Welton up to dedicate the moment of silence, followed by our Pledge of Allegiance. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. As I'm sure all of you have heard at this point, the City of Peabody and the Higgins Middle School community lost an 8th grader tragically this past weekend. His name was Jason Bernard. No parent should have to deal with the situation that they're going through right now, and there's no right words to say, but I just hope the family knows that we're all thinking of them through this incredibly difficult time, and thinking of all the children that were friends of his and impacted, and classmates as well. So I'd like to dedicate this moment of silence to Jason Bernard.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Not opposed? It's a vote. Moving on to hearings. Item 4A for a special permit. Madam Clerk, would you like to read it, or would you like me to?
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, May 22nd, 2025 at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Bria Tiro, 77 Foster Street, North Andover, Mass., for a special permit requesting to operate a kennel in a BR zoning district for the use of a training facility with no overnight boarding or kenneling of animals at 1 Sylvan Street, Peabody, Mass., as filed in accordance with sections 4.2.5, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Julie K. Daigle, City Council President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. We have the applicant at the podium. Please state your name, address for the record, and a description of what you're applying for. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the City Peabody City Council. I'm John Kelty. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody. I'm appearing on behalf of Bria Tiro, who resides at 75 Foster Street in North Andover, Massachusetts. She comes before you this evening. I believe she will be joining us if there are any questions for her via the Zoom. This is a somewhat unusual situation, inasmuch as Ms. Tiro has been operating a dog training facility at this same address for a period of years. The state has changed some of the rules and regulations with respect to this kind of activity, and they have indicated that dog training, dog discipline, etc., that is all going to require a kennel license on the local level. In the City of Peabody, there was no specific license except for those required by the Board of Health in order to open and conduct this business. Now, in the City of Peabody, we have the need for a special permit in order to obtain a kennel license, and as such, we're here this evening to obtain a kennel license as a special permit from the city council. There is no increase in the business. There is no increase in the area. She will rent the same space that she has been renting for a period of years, and we are pleased to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty. Is there anyone in the room that would like to speak in opposition of this application? Seeing none, is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this application? Seeing none, is there anyone on the Zoom platform that would like to speak? Seeing none. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. As Attorney Kelty stated, this business has been in operation for many years, and this is before us tonight because of change in Mass General Law that was signed at the end of last year. So I have no issues with the application. I'll be in support of it. I will condition it with the health conditions that were provided in the packet, which we've all seen for other kenneling license. They're pretty standard that Sharon sends over. So I'll turn it over to other counselors if they have any questions.
Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to Attorney Kelty. Jack, I realize this isn't, the money's not owed by this petitioner. It's owned by the building owner, but have you discussed with the building owner, I guess if in fact the building owner is a client of yours, the $53,000 in property taxes?
I did. The real estate tax was unpaid. I spoke to the owner of the property Monday. He suggested he was unaware that he hadn't paid. He thought he owns a number of properties, some of which are paid by the bank. I pointed out to him that this was not one of them, and he indicated to me he'd head right down. I neglected to ask if that bill had been paid today, but my client or the owner of the property will be immediately attending to that.
Thank you.
Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. Just point of clarification for me. So if we move forward with this kennel license, right, through the special permit, the owner is putting the restriction of no overnight stays, correct?
Yes. We're happy to agree to that.
I guess my question is, did you, and this is, I don't want to mess it up. I know you've already had the conversation, Stephanie, so I'm curious why she would want to limit that, like not have the opportunity, because if this passes as a kennel license, it would allow for that, correct? Like she needs to have a kennel license.
She doesn't have any of the animals overnight anyway. So,
right.
And that's not part of her program. It would be a part of kenneling, certainly, but
right.
not in this instance.
Okay, so just so I understand correctly, in the eyes of the state, it doesn't matter, training, overnight stays, whatever, it's all the same license, so that's why we're doing this way. Okay, all set, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Any other councilors? Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. Move to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'll make a motion to approve the special permit from BR Tierra requesting to operate a kennel in a BR zoning district for the use of a training facility with no overnight boarding or kenneling of animals at 1 Sylvan Street, Peabody, Mass., with the following conditions, which are outlined in the communication, conditions 1 through 9 in the communication from Sharon Cameron to the council dated May 15th, 2025. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rosignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty.
Thank you very much.
Moving on, you're welcome. Moving on to item 4B, special permit. Would the clerk please read the notice?
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, May 22nd, 2025, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from Della Rosa Construction and Design Corp., 30 Main Street, Peabody, Mass., for a special permit requesting to replace a pre-existing non-conforming use and structure, to wit, a contractor's shop at rear of lot with two-family and residential zone at 50A Tremont Street, Peabody, Mass., is filed in accordance with sections 1.5.1, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar on the homepage, or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Julie K. Daigle, City Council President.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Welcome, Attorney Kelty.
At the risk of being repetitive, my name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Massachusetts. Appearing on behalf of Della Rosa Construction and Design Corp. Their offices are in, and the residences are at 30 Mason Street, Peabody, Mass. They are the owners of 58 Tremont Street. It's currently by way of trying to locate this property. There's a small depression as we head to Salem on Tremont Street. This property is on the left, and it is located in that little depression area. We have been to the Conservation Commission, obtained permission from them for this construction. We have also been to the Zoning Board of Appeals so that we could situate this building in a fashion similar to the location of the existing garage. The garage will be demolished. We're here this evening because we have a pre-existing non-conforming use, which is commercial, and we're seeking to convert it to a two-family residential structure, and that would be the subject of the special permit. During the process of being before the ZBA, we had occasion to hear from our neighbor, Mr. and Mrs. Pimental, who reside directly behind this property. There was some conversation about which trees would be removed and whether or not our construction would interfere with what is currently a drainage pattern that allows the water from the Pimental property to come upon this property because it is indeed lower, and then gets in. Plans have we're cognizant of the fact that that is the drainage pattern. In order for the Pimental property to drain differently, perhaps to their own street frontage, it's a grade difference of some significance, and the riparian issues, that is water rights and drainage rights, would indicate that we should continue to accept that water, and we will. And in our, the wall that is on Pimental's property will not be touched, and trees that are on Pimental certainly will not be touched. And we're happy to answer questions that you may have this evening.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty. Is there anyone before us that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor of this application? Seeing none. Is there anyone on the Zoom platform that would like to speak? Seeing none. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. I had an opportunity to speak with Attorney Kelty and the abutters of the property. This, while is in a single-family zone, is moving from a non-conforming use to a still non-conforming but more conforming use, being residential. I will have a few conditions to add based on conversations with the abutters. I'll add a condition that there'll be no outward-facing lighting that would cause any light pollution to the abutting properties. As Attorney Kelty said, there'll be no changes to the grade that would impede the current drainage from 11 North End Street. And based on the public services comments, I will condition that they would use infrared technology for the utility placement if public services suggests that or requires it. Other than that, I am in support of this, as it is, they've received their ZBA approval already, and their Concom letter as well. So if any of the councilors have any questions.
Any questions from counselors? Seeing none. Attorney Kelty, you're okay with these conditions?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
The counselor and I have discussed those, and we are.
Thank you, sir. Counselor Peach.
Just got a raise, Attorney.
Ooh.
If there's no other questions, I'll move to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed to vote. Counselor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I'll move to approve the special permit from De La Rosa Construction and Design Corp. for requesting to replace a pre-existing non-conforming use and structure, to wit, a contractor's shop at a rear lot with a two-family in a residential zone at 50A Tremont Street, Peabody, Mass., with the following condition. Any exterior lighting will not be outward-facing to cause any light pollution on abutting properties. Condition 2, there'll be no changes to the grading that will impede the drainage from 11 North End Street. And condition 3, when placing utilities, they'll use infrared technology as public services sees fit. So moved.
Thank you, Counselor Peach. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould. Yes. Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes,
Motion carries 11-0.
congratulations.
Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty. Moving on to hearings, item 4C. Would the clerk please read the notice?
Notice is hereby given that the City Council of the City of Peabody, acting as the special permit granting authority, will conduct a public hearing on Thursday evening, May 22nd, 2025, at 7:30 p.m. in the Frank L. Wigan Auditorium, 24 Lowell Street, Peabody, Mass., and remotely via Zoom on the application from 10 Monroe Realty LLC, 7 Pondview Road, Peabody, Mass., for a special permit requesting to allow multifamily housing in the Business Central BC zone at 10-12 Monroe Street, Peabody, Mass., is filed in accordance with sections 1.5.1, 4.1, 5.1, 6.1, and 15.7 of the Peabody zoning ordinance. For remote participation using the Zoom platform, please visit www.peabody-ma.gov under City Calendar. On the home page, or contact the City Clerk's office. Peabody City Council, Councilor Julie K. Daigle, City Council President.
Thank you, Madam
Thank-
Clerk. Attorney Kelty, you know the drill.
Thank you, Madam President. Members of the City of Peabody City Council, my name is John Kelty. I'm an attorney. I have offices at 40 Lowell Street in Peabody, Mass., and appearing on behalf of Joseph Salvaggio and 10 Monroe Realty LLC. We seek a special permit which is requesting to allow multifamily housing in the Business Central Zone located at 1012 Monroe Street. This is a project that actually has been before various boards of the city for a number, actually almost 2 years. In June of 2023, the zoning ordinance of the City of Peabody was amended, and this particular parcel of land was rezoned from R2 to Central Business, which was the zoning that adjoins and heads all the way out to Central Street. The car wash and the buildings on Central Street are all BC. We went before the Conservation Commission on, that zone change occurred in June of 2023. We were before the Conservation Commission, filed on 7/24/24, and we were given an order of conditions after several peer reviews on 11/27/24. We began site plan review before the planning board and peer review portions, and we filed that on February 10th, 25, and we're completed our process of site plan review on April 3rd, 2025, and now have filed for a special permit seeking the residences in a BC zone, and we filed that on 4/7/25 and appear before you this evening. This is a project that, in its simplest of terms, is providing 2 floors over parking. Our parking will be on the ground level. There'll be 2 elevated floors above. Each floor would have 6 units for a total of 12 units. Below, on the ground floor, we have provided 28 spaces, so we are in conformity with zoning requirements. The BC zoning district actually is unique in as much as it does not have a parking requirement, but this project lent itself to needing parking, and we certainly are providing it. The existence of this particular parcel being in a floodplain does not allow us to have residences on the first floor. So as such, we're going to park on the first floor and have the 2 residential floors above. We have Joseph Betancourt is here this evening with me. Joseph Salvaggio, principal. Joe Betancourt did the design that you're looking at now. We do have his plans as part of the package to be shown, but those plans have all been scrutinized and reviewed by public services and peer reviewers, and we've completed that project. Do we want to flip the page? And just kind of go through them? Huh? Do I what?
Under suspension of the rules, are we okay with the receiving a presentation? Yes, please proceed. Attorney Kelty or Joe Betancourt. I don't know. I'm not sure what we're presenting. This was just given to us tonight.
Let me go back to the beginning. Okay. Good evening. My name is Joe Betancourt. I'm an architect with the design studio at 14 North Central Street here in Peabody. We appreciate the opportunity to share our project at 10 Monroe Court. This first slide that you see is sort of highlighting our project circled in the middle, sort of in context. It's also starting to address the 3 primary issues that our project is really sort of aspiring to. First and foremost is the architectural scale of the project. As you can see on the image to the left, which is the Elm Street neighborhood, is the lower scale residential buildings. To the right is the building across the street, much taller. That's between 55 and 60 feet. So one of the opportunities that we have is to really sort of mitigate or mediate the 2 different scales. We definitely want to draw from the texture and the character of the neighborhood and bring that onto the project versus the more contemporary scale and aesthetic of the building to the right. So architectural scale is primary concern for us, and we see it as a real opportunity. Landscaping, also currently there really isn't much landscaping. Everything is sort of impervious. Although we don't have a lot of landscaping, whatever we can do to beautify the sidewalk and the base of the building, we definitely want to take that opportunity. And then finally is to enhance the public realm experience. So currently there are no sidewalks on Monroe or Hardy Street, and our project is proposing to add a sidewalk along each edge. So really improving the public realm is something that we want to do. There's a lot of information on this slide, but the essence of it really, if you look at our site in yellow, our site is really, it's in the center of what I'll call 4 mega blocks. So we have Wallace Street, Central, Elm Street, and Walnut Street. And you see the vertical sort of purple line that runs up and down the screen. There is a pedestrian desire line that goes from Elm Street to the heart of downtown. That passes along our site. So we just want to make sure that we acknowledge that it exists, and whatever we can do to improve that is something that we want to try to do. Also, there's a lot going on around the site, as we all know, so it's really just to understand that there's a big world in motion in the area. Just a few images of sort of the scale and character of the residential along Elm Street. So there's a variety of texture, grains, different levels of articulation, and that's the scale that we want to draw from. There are 2 important views to our site. One is from Elm Street as you descend down. That's the one to the lower left. And then from Walnut Street, as you look up, you'll actually see our front door. So we're just acknowledging the neighborhood and being mindful to that. So just a quick closer view of our project. Again, you see sort of the low, the medium, and the high scale, and how we're trying to, utilize the landscaping to really nest and root the project on the site. We're thinking of maybe bringing some bays, across the facade to add some rhythm and scale, as well as a hip roof at the top. You see it sort of tapers back. And the idea is to keep the scale of the building down as much as we can. As we look at the ground floor plan, so our site has 15,100 square feet. Our elevation is 18.5, just for reference. I think Attorney Kelty mentioned we actually have 28 parking spaces. 2 of those are ADA compliant. They're right in the middle. They're handicap accessible. And we do have the 2 residential floors above. Just quickly, the 2 arrows that you see, the one to the left is the main building entry. So that brings you into the primary vestibule. To the left is an elevator, to the right is an egress stair. We'll have a package room and some mechanical in that area as well. That's all thermally controlled. To the right is the access from the car into the parking underneath the building, and it's a clockwise circulation system. This is the typical upper floor. So we mentioned there are 6 units. Each unit is about 1,100 square feet. Each unit is also 2 bedrooms. You see the elevator to the bottom, and then the second egress stair to the right. You'll notice on the plan that we have some ins and outs and some jogs. That really helps us with the architectural scale. And then just getting onto the ground, just some very conceptual and basic views, but the idea of really trying to create that ground floor scale. There will be screening at the parking so that we can create a secure base. Some of that may be solid. Most of it is going to be perforated or vented so that we don't have to have mechanical venting. But this gives you a sense of the scale and some of the rhythm of the bays as well. View from Walnut Street, looking towards the front door. We actually have a lot of work to do, but the idea is that there's a placeholder for the entry to the building. This will give us an opportunity to create some identity as well as a scale break along Hardy Street. And again, you see the hip roof, the bays, basically the architectural ingredients that we'll use to help scale the building. View from Central Street, again, all the same talking points, but just to give us an idea of what it may start to look like from Central Street. And then finally, this is the corner of Monroe, which is to the left, and Hardy Street to the right. Again, we want to bring as much articulation and detail as possible, and we do have still quite a bit of work to do. This is very conceptual. Thank you very much for the opportunity, and any questions that I can answer, I'm happy to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Betancourt. Excuse me. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. Is there anyone that would like to speak in favor? Is there anyone in the Zoom platform that would like to speak? Seeing none. Counselor Peach, back again.
Thank you, Madam President. Many of you counselors might remember when we did the zoning change for this parcel, these two parcels. So this project has been conceptualized or in front of some sort of city board for many years now. There was another project that was approved on the site that actually probably would have brought more cars and people living to the site than this current one. I've spoken with Attorney Kelty, with the applicant, with the neighbors hundreds of times. I've been on site. These lots, if you're not familiar with them, have been vacant for over 30 years and will continue to be vacant, in my opinion, if we don't approve a housing project there, just because the amount of groundwork that needs to be done. It's an old tannery site, so the ground is contaminated. I think we're up to 16 conditions, which have all been discussed with the applicant and agreed to. Many of them come from their conditions placed on the application from other boards in the city. So through the process with planning, conservation, the health department, all of those things, and then I'll add a few more from the council, specifically, for the neighbors about removing the existing vegetation and the fence, which they've agreed to do. It's always been part of the plan, but just in case this plan gets sold to somebody else, making sure that the neighborhood is protected. I think the design concept looks fantastic. It's not a box, which we have many of those downtown that were developed in the 90s and early 2000s. And what you can't see from these pictures is that the houses in the rear of this proposed development are elevated. This is a hill. So when it comes down to it, I think the houses directly behind this are going to be at the same level of this. They'll be just as high. So you're not really seeing this towering building, which under our zoning could have been higher, but the developer really worked with the neighborhood and really took their concerns into consideration. Most developers would not be coming to us looking to put 12 units someplace. We've seen, right around the corner, there's an approved 40B project for 130-something units. And the lot, is bigger than this, but it's not much bigger than this to scale. So they're asking for 12 units. I think that's very reasonable. The abutters also, maybe this isn't the first thing that they want to see there, but they also want to see something there. There's been communication, I don't know if other counselors received it, from one of the neighbors. It wasn't part of our packet. It wasn't sent to the council as a whole, but I did address a lot of those concerns. I've heard complaints about and concerns about traffic safety. We did have a municipal safety meeting regarding this specific neighborhood earlier this year, I believe. The time, maybe last year, where we changed the one-way on Monroe due to the car wash traffic. This is all part of that. There's a lot going on in this neighborhood, especially right now with the Central Street construction. A lot of the detours are being routed down Hardy Street. So there's a lot happening here, but in my continued conversations with the direct abutters, this plan is something that they are supporting. There's no one here tonight to speak in opposition to it. I just think this is an opportunity for us to make some positive development that's on a reasonable scale downtown, which is why I'm going to support this moving forward. And so if my counselors have any questions, I'm happy to try to help answer them.
Thank you, Counselor Peach. Counselor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor Peach, for the recap. I do remember this coming before us probably when I was president, like a couple years ago. And at that time, I think there was an issue with the entrance egress on that formerly one-way street. It didn't seem to be wide enough, or there was an issue like that. That's all been resolved with how that has been rerouted traffic-wise, right? And I think it was because it was so tight to the car wash. Do you remember what I'm talking about, or do you have any insight on that?
Yeah, through the, you, Madam President, to Councilor Welton, that was part of the reason that they had to reevaluate their plan. So they were, they had an approved permanent plan for 2 townhouses. So on each lot, there would have been 2 units, which was conforming to the pre-existing zoning. And they were 4-bedroom. They were very large townhouses. So one of the driveways was where the new entrance to the car wash is, and that was causing issues with that existing plan, along with other issues economically to continue and move forward with that plan. But also, it was 4 4-bedroom townhouses, so there were more in my opinion, we would have ended up with more people living there, especially children, adding to our school system. Not that I love children, but I have 3 of my own. But in terms of like adding traffic to the neighborhood, I think the new project, which we discussed with the zoning change, will be less impactful to the neighborhood.
Thanks. I think for the record, I don't think either of us can complain about adding to the school system, but I appreciate that. And then secondarily, this is on posts, is that right? Because it's in the flood zone? It's built on pier posts or something like that?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it's all been approved through the Conservation Commission, how it needs to be built in order to conform with the flood zone, but also disposal of anything that they take up is also, there are a lot of conditions that this project has to be built pretty much the way it's been presented to us.
No further questions. Great job. I'm excited to see something go there. I definitely will support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Welton. Councilor Rossignol and then Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Madam President. I remember this lot well just a couple of years ago when it was not only vacant, but it was actually kind of dumped. There were mattresses and TVs, so it's great to see a project of this size, especially because it's not intrusive. It's going to conform to the neighborhood and scale. The one question I do have is mechanicals. On this rendition, I didn't see any. Obviously, they're not in the basement because there isn't one. I'm assuming they're going to be on the roof. Is that a good?
Yes, the HVAC and
Yes.
all of that, yes.
So my question is they're also going to be covered so that the neighbors, if they are higher, they don't have to stare at them? Will there be some sort of, even if it's just the same sort of screening that you have blocking the car aesthetically, you'll have the same sort of thing blocking the mechanicals?
Yes, so the hip roof that you see that sort of projects up from the eave line, where we have mechanical, there will actually be a well, right? So the idea is to use the low-pitch roof to actually screen the mechanical
Perfect.
as much as we can.
Excellent. Thank you very much. That was my question.
Thank you, Councilor Rossignol. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to Attorney Kelty, and my apologies, I did not see any of the planning meetings on this. I'm just looking at Sharon Cameron's letter in our packet about the AUL. How do you address not disturbing the current asphalt that's there while constructing a new building? I'm just
Actually, 2 phases. There is an AUL which says that it needs to be capped, and there are intrusions into the cap that are allowed for periods of time. I think it's 6 months is the longest you could open in order to install utilities. When we were permitting the 2 duplexes, Al Tallarico actually had us engage a further LSP. The AUL that was on record has been prepared by a guy named Ron Burns. We then engaged Arcadia, and Arcadia gave us some recommendations, and we do have a like a protocol in terms of when we open the ground, what we can remove, where it needs to be removed to. If you're not removing anything and we're not bringing fill, then how you treat it. So there are parameters around all that. We've got to be very careful in our digging so that, but that's all been mapped out, and we're happy to agree to. I think that Councilor Peach is going to have a condition which says that we need to achieve compliance with the AUL and to work in conjunction with the Board of Health and Building Department during our permitting portion, the building permitting portion, to supply them with whatever kind of detailed plan for the development.
Thank you for the explanation. I know it just struck me as curious when I saw the letter, how you go about doing that, so I appreciate that. The second question and last question I have is regarding the inclusionary zoning. On the application in our packet, and as well as item 8H. Did we receive 8H? I move to receive item 8H under suspension of the rules.
You heard
And
the
refer
motion.
to this matter. Excuse me.
Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote to receive 8H. Thank you. Councilor Turco.
Yeah, thank you. So in 8H, it references, and I don't know if this is something new, that the City Council must approve the affordable housing plan submitted by the applicant attached and sign a participation agreement with the applicant, which then must be signed by the mayor and recorded by the Registry of Deeds. I'm not sure if we've ever done that, but in any event, looking at the application at the back of 8H, it doesn't list, Mr. Levin references it on behalf of the city that there's 2 required units for affordability, but the application doesn't have the 2 listed. So I just want to make sure for the record that your client is aware that he must have 2 of the 12 affordable
Yes.
units.
Yes, we've had that discussion. He's aware of that. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Councilor Turco. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Councilor Turco asked the question that I had regarding the 2 units. So thank you for that, Councilor Turco. And I just want to comment on the design. JMB, Joe Betancourt's designs are always beautiful. And he takes the time to make sure that the designs fit the character of the neighborhood, and I think that that really resonates here. It really looks good. And we have a friendly developer and a great design. So, and I commend the ward councilor for the work done on this because it's nice to see a nice project come in like this without much fanfare, but I know there's a lot of work behind it, and you did it, so I thank you for that. I'll certainly be supporting this project. I think it's a great fit. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin, and I echo those sentiments. Any other councilors? Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. When this came before us in June of 2023 for the zone change, I opposed it. I think Councilor Manning Martin joined me in that at the time. It was primarily because we were told at that point that it was going residential, and I've been consistently against residential development in the AE floodplain, and it really also had to do with concern about, what can come in these areas in behind BC, really, which is what this is as part of a neighborhood, being switched over to BC. And I understand that helps with the economics of all this to make it work, give it a much more dense residential development, probably makes the numbers work better. But again, going back to the zone change issue, it could be a lot of other things too as BC. and it could be those things by right, which is really a large part of the reason why I have tended to oppose these types of changes. And to be consistent with that, I'm going to oppose this. Council Peach knows that, so there's no surprise there. But I do, all that said, I definitely hear and respect many of the positive comments that have been said about the project, and certainly respect that there'd be, probably most councilors would tend to want to support this. They've already voiced their support, and I can understand why that would be. But I just wanted to be clear as to why I plan to, as I did previously, vote no on this. Just one point of clarification for Attorney Kelty. You made a comment that there's no parking requirement in BC. I don't know if you actually believe that or not, but there is no, you are correct, there is no parking requirement for commercial developments, but there is for residential developments.
Yes.
And I have
I stand corrected.
And I have looked at it, and you do meet that. You
Yes.
actually exceed that parking requirement. So I just wanted that to be clarified, so that's not misunderstood going forward. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Any other councilors? Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. And just one more thing as a housekeeping thing. On the application, it was pointed out that, and it was just a clerical error, that it said like a ZBA variance would be needed, but it's not because of the zoning. The setbacks are 0 in BC. But again, the developer had worked along with the neighborhood to make sure there are significant, I'll say significant, but there are, compared to 0, there are significant setbacks that are much closer to conforming with the residential setbacks in an R2. So with that said, I will motion to close the public hearing.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, I would move to approve the special permit from 10 Monroe Realty LLC requesting to allow multifamily housing in the Business Central Zone at 1012 Monroe Street, Peabody, with the following conditions, and bear with me. Conditions 1 through 11, I'll condition as listed in the communication from Robert Langley dated March 19, 2025. Condition that all of those should be followed. That was in 8H for any counselors. Condition 12, the order of conditions from the Conservation Commission will be followed. 13, under the city's inclusionary zoning, 2 units will be affordable in perpetuity. Condition 14, the existing vegetation and fence will be removed from the site. Condition 15, the downtown design standards set in section 5.2 will be adhered to. And condition 16, any changes made to the proposal that would not trigger a request for modification to the planning board, including but not limited to landscaping and exterior building design changed, will be referred to community development for a review and approval. So moved.
You all heard the motion and the conditions. Any discussion? Seeing none. Oh, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you to Council Peach, did that capture the Health Department's input as well?
Yeah, through you, Madam President, to Councilor McGinn, yes. So in the communication from Robert Langley, condition number 10 is the applicant shall retain an LSP during construction of this project to certify all conditions of the AUL are met during construction, and that any future maintenance on items described in the AUL will ensure no significant risk posed to the public.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Any other discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
No.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 10 to 1.
Thank you very much, councilors. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Attorney Kelty and Mr. Betancourt. Moving on to reports of committees. Ad hoc Committee on Aggregate Industries. Counselor Higgins, please.
Thank you, Madam President. Tonight, the Ad hoc Committee on Aggregate Industries met, and we had one item on the agenda, and that was to accept and review the Aggregate Industries Annual Report for 2024. In attendance, we had 100% attendance from the Ad hoc Subcommittee, Councillor Gamache and Councillor Rossignol, and myself, Councillor Higgins, as the chairperson. We also had other councillors that attended, Councillors Turco, Councillor Peach, Gould, McGinn, and Manning Martin. I will give you a synopsis of what we went over. We talked about the blasting that happened in 2024. They had 19 blasts, and this year in 2025 they will have 7. So it's a significant reduction. The noise, the health department, I'd like to thank Sharon Cameron of the health department and Bill Stanfield from the engineering department as they went over all of the noise test results and all of the air quality and water quality and ground and stormwater quality results. The aggregate folks met all of the standards set forth by the special permit and by the Department of the DEP, Massachusetts. We had a few neighborhood issues this in 2024. Those were addressed. Nothing was outside of there was no findings that were outside of the operation of the special permit. We had a unanimous vote from the subcommittee to accept the report, and Councillor Rossignol made a motion to receive and approve with the following recommendations. 1, the notification letter sent to residents regarding the pre-blast property survey needs to be revised to reflect wording contained in the special permit stating the independent specialist shall submit a copy of the condition survey for each resident surveyed to the homeowner and the fire department. The homeowner part was left out. 2, aggregate industries should conduct additional noise mitigation efforts to ensure that the 10 dB increase above the background noise is not exceeded for any location, for any period of time. They've been encroaching on that limit, and they do have mitigation strategy that they hope to implement this before the end of the year. They will also test in the spring. Number 3, groundwater sampling from the wells should continue to be taken in the springtime period. This will allow the wells to have adequate groundwater table to help ensure that a sample can be taken and analyzed. Number 4, noise monitoring measurements must be conducted twice a year in the spring and fall while the facility is operating. In the past, they've done it in August and not in spring, but this year they will do it in the spring. And 5, all conditions of the special permit issued in 2002 must be met going forward. I now present this to the council as a whole to receive and approve. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Peach,
Yes.
Gould, Gamache, Higgins,
Yes.
Manning Martin,
Yes.
Welton,
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 10-0.
Thank you, Madam. Councillor Higgins.
That concludes the report. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And can we receive item 8G?
Certainly. Under suspension of the rules, I'd like to accept item 8G.
Thank you. You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Moving on to Industrial and Community Development Committee. Councillor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. The Industrial and Community Development Committee met this evening. We had one item on the agenda, which was proposed zoning amendment to Section 8, Floodplain Overlay District and Wetlands Conservancy District. This Community Development Director, Mr. Bellavance, was here to present this to us and answer any questions. This is mainly driven by the federal government. There was a lot of back and forth between Mr. Bellavance and the agency to see if we could just simply modify a few things in our ordinance, and that was not the case. So we essentially have no option but to adopt it as it was presented to us. There was a motion during the meeting to receive late 1, so I'll bring that to the council now, under suspension of the rules.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. After the discussion with Mr. Bellavance, there was a motion from Councilor McGinn. That motion was to schedule a public hearing with a positive recommendation from the committee to the City Council. There were 2 changes, and Councilor McGinn can correct me if I'm wrong, to Section 8.10, which was presented, the changes presented in late 1, and in 8.9 to eliminate the name of the railroad and just consider it a railroad right-of-way to be consistent. With those changes, the motion passed unanimously at the committee for a public hearing at the City Council and referred to the Planning Board. I now bring that to the full council.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Peach.
That concludes report of committee. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Peach. Moving on to Finance Committee. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. The Finance Committee met earlier this evening. Present for the committee were Councilors Gamache, Gould, Manning, Martin, Turco, and myself as chair. All other councilors were present. We had 3 items on the agenda. We took them out of order, starting with item B, which was a transfer of funds, South and West School roofs, an amount of $139,800. That was presented to us by the Director of Finance, Mr. Gingras. It was a request for some additional funding for the feasibility study to determine the need for the cost and repair of the replacements of the roofs at the South and West School. With that explanation, there was a motion made by Councilor Gould as follows: move to approve transfer of funds from ARPA funds interest, account number 250-05900-34812-2021, an amount of $139,800 to South and West School roofs, account number 300-000-35886-2025, an amount of $139,800. That motion passed the Finance Committee unanimously. I now bring it for consideration of the full council. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton. McGinn.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you. Councilor McGinn.
We then jump back to item A, which was a bond order, city capital projects, in an amount of $2,350,000. That was presented to us by His Honor the Mayor, and it was put forward to address a number of projects, additional funding for the Council on Aging roof repairs and mechanical upgrades being chief among them. That was those were $950,000 and $185,000 respectively. $515,000 for 2 DPS trucks and 4 police vehicles, and then there was $210,000 additional funding for Ross Park renovations, and for that Ross Park renovation, we received late communication 2, which I now would ask the council to receive formally. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. And there was also, in the list of items, $200,000 for a cemetery expansion, Section K. And with that, His Honor the Mayor presented us with Late 3, which we received, which was a depiction of the Section K expansion, and I would now ask the council to formally receive Late 3. So moved.
Thank you, sir. You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. And then the last two items were $80,000 for a new stump grinder for the Forestry Department and $150,000 for building and mechanical upgrades. And actually, there was an additional $60,000 identified for technology improvements. Madam President, there was some discussion as to whether or not this should be considered at this point in time, or if we should wait a few weeks until we see how this fits within the context of the coming budget discussions. There was some back and forth on that between various councils, and the prevailing sentiment of the committee was that there was some time sensitivity involved with a number of these things, in particular with the moving forward with the roof on the senior center, and the collective belief of the committee was that we should address it at this time. There was a specific request that went to the mayor and the director of finance to include with the budget package that we are going to receive near term a capital schedule so that we can see how this fits in with other items that have been previously approved by this council. With that as discussion, there was a motion made by Councilor Gould, and the motion was to move to advertise as read. I am not going to reread this because it was read fully at committee. But what I will do is read a portion of it. Peabody City Council, City of Peabody, Massachusetts, bond order for city capital projects. Be it ordered that the City Council of the City of Peabody, that the City of Peabody appropriates the amount of $2,350,000 to pay the cost of the following projects, including the payment of any costs incidental and related thereto: roof replacement, $950,000, vehicles, $515,000, park improvement, $210,000, equipment, $80,000, building and improvement and mechanical upgrades, $335,000, cemetery expansion, $200,000, technology upgrades, $60,000 for a total of $2.35 million. So the motion, Madam President, is to move as advertised and read, and it was read in accordance with the attachment to the communication from His Honor the Mayor, dated May 1st, 2025. So moved.
Thank you. Councilor McGinn, any discussion?
Madam President, that just for clarification, that motion passed the Finance Committee unanimously, and I now do bring it for consideration of the full council. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Any discussion? Seeing none. Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco.
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. The last item on the agenda was a proposed compensation increase for poll workers. That item was brought to us by our own clerk, Ms. Danforth, in a communication dated May 1st, 2025. Was presented to the council in such a way with a well-written letter which spoke for itself. There was no actual debate on this, and there was a motion advanced by Councilor Gould to an ordinance amending the ordinance establishing a classification and compensation plan for the city officers and employees of the code of the city of Peabody, be it ordained by the city council of the city of Peabody as follows. Section 1, that the code of the city of Peabody adopted on January 23rd, 1969 as amended for section 18-20, paragraph 15, schedule of compensation for part-time positions is hereby further amended as follows. And that was, the motion was to advertise as read in its full text, the form attached to the correspondence from Allison Danforth dated May 1st, 2025. That motion, Madam President, to advertise as read by Councilor Gould passed the Finance Committee unanimously, and I now bring it for consideration of the full council. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0. Thank you, councilors.
Thank you, Madam. Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. That completes the report.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Moving on to motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Turco.
Thank you, Madam President. Just one motion, request to the Finance Director to provide us with a list of stipends in this year's budget and for all ordinance employees, and submit that with the budget when we receive it. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Turco, are you all set?
Yes, thank you.
Councilor Peach.
Thank you, Madam President. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8F and refer to IC and D. So moved.
Thank you, Councilor, and I think this item is applicable to a grant, so Andrew Levin is hoping we can schedule this for the first meeting in June. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Peach.
No further motions. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor, Madam Peach. Councilor Gould.
No motions, Madam Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gould. Councilor Gamache.
Yes, under suspension rules, I'd like to take up 7B. It is a request by the mayor to have Audrey Gordon, 17 Pine Street, Peabody, Mass., position Board of Registrars, term to expire 4/1/2028. So move.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Gamache. We're going to actually roll call that, please. On the motion for 7B. Roll call, please.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould.
Yes.
Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin.
Yes.
Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rozignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you.
No
Madam.
further motions. Thank you,
Thank
Madam
you,
President.
Councilor Gamache. Councilor Higgins.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd like to, under suspension of the rules, I'd like to accept and approve item 8D, which is a transfer of a special permit number 16 under the recommendation of the building commissioner. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Councilor Higgins.
I have no further motions or resolutions tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Higgins. Councilor Manning Martin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have no motions, but I do have an announcement or a reminder that Peabody has been dedicated a Purple Heart community or city designation, and that the Purple Heart, of course, honors service members wounded or killed in combat. So I wanted to thank my colleagues on the council for supporting that initiative, and the Veterans Agent, Steve Patton, for applying for and getting approval of that honor. And we will be having the dedication after our parade in front of City Hall on Memorial Day. And you may have noticed the crosswalks, the purple crosswalks that have been painted. Very bright, very pretty. And I want to thank the mayor for that. That was a very last-minute request I made of him this week, and he acted very quickly on it to make sure that this is a very special occasion, a special day, to honor our past and present Purple Heart recipients. So I want to thank the mayor for taking care of that. He really made an extra effort to get that done, and it looks beautiful. We're also asking people to wear purple, whether a hat or tie or jacket, and please join us again in front of City Hall after our parade so we can all enjoy the festivities and this important designation. And if there are any Purple Heart recipients that would like to participate in the ceremony, please reach out to the Veterans Agent, Steve Patton, at City Hall. Give him a call, and you may be able to participate in the event should you wish to do so. So just reach out. And again, I want to thank the mayor for the painting those crosswalks. I think it looks great. It's a nice touch. So that is all I have to report. Madam Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Manning Martin, and thank you for that Purple Heart initiative. And just a reminder, the Memorial Day Parade kicks off at 11 o'clock at the corner of Allens Lane and Washington Street and runs down to City Hall. Everyone is welcome. Councilor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President, and would like to echo your appreciation to Councilor Manning Martin for all the veterans, the Purple Heart recipients and their families. Really appreciate that, that much-deserved recognition. I have a couple of motions this evening, so if you could bear with me. First, I'd like to, under suspension of rules, receive item 8C and just receive it. I don't think we're doing anything with that. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote.
Thank you. Under suspension of rules, move to receive and approve all papers being in order. Block party requests for Pizzigio Circle on June 14th, 2025 and July 4th, 2025. So moved.
You heard the motion. I never knew how to pronounce that street. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Welton.
Thanks. And on behalf of Joe Bartow and Elvis Perez, everyone is invited to both of those parties. So moved. Moving forward. So moved. Moving forward. I have a couple requests for some sidewalk issues, but first, I would like to make a motion for a handicap accessible parking spot to be, signage to be placed in front of 75 Fairview Avenue for a resident there whose husband utilizes, has some mobility issues. So 75 Fairview Avenue, so moved.
You heard the motion, Councilor McGinn. I'm sorry, Councilor Gould.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Councilor Welton. It's actually 75 is the front door. The side door is on Granite Road. Thank you.
Thank you for clarifying that. So yes, so on the corner of 75 Fairview Ave and Granite is where we would like for the handicap accessible parking signage to be placed. So move.
So this is on Granite Street, to be clear. Thank you.
That has to be ordinanced.
Yeah, that was my next one. So we good with the signage requests? Does she want me to do the ordinance
Let's wrap
first?
it all up in one.
Okay, well, can I make it as one motion then? I don't have to. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor Welton.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd also like to request a tree inspection for possible tree removal on 8 Holden Street. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor Welton.
Thank you, and I'd like to make a request for DPS to inspect possible tripping hazard for a sidewalk on 2 Columbia Boulevard. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor Welton.
Same request for inspection of sidewalk, possible tripping hazard at 5 Pulver Drive. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor Welton.
Lastly, similar request for DPS to check the curbing at 22 and 20 Quail Road. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor Welton.
I believe I got all of them. A lot of those were in response to some plowing issues that we had this past winter that need to be rectified where possible. No further motions. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Welton. Counselor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. Suspension of the rules, move to receive item 7A and refer to finance. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. On the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8A and refer to legal affairs and refer to community development and other departments for opinions. So moved.
You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor McGinn.
Madam President, would you like me to take 8B? That's the, on the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8B. So moved.
Thank you. You heard the motion. All in favor, any opposed, it's a vote.
Thank you, Madam President. On the suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8I and set up a public hearing. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed, it's a vote. Counselor McGinn.
Nope.
Counselor Rossignol.
Thank you, Madam President. On the motion, I'm assuming that this business is just like the last petitioner, that it's just a renewal. Is there a way, so if these businesses have already been operating and they're in good standing, I just don't want to see a business have to take time out of their day, try to get a lawyer, come before us when they've already been operating over the years. Is there a way that we can, anybody that's long-standing, automatically make them now eligible for their kennel license so that they don't have to go through a hoop that's really unnecessary?
Thank you, Counselor. I'm going to defer to the clerk. She wants to address this question.
So according to Ollie's Law, which is the new law that was passed that is now requiring a kennel license, and that's in the words of the state, for businesses that do training, dog daycare, I believe dog groomers will be coming down the line soon as well. So all of these businesses are going to need a kennel license, and the way we give a kennel license in Peabody is to have a special permit. And I'm not really sure how you get around that. But you know, most of them are not going to have any boarding or kenneling of animals. Once we can issue the license, then the ACO goes down and inspects to make sure it's a safe facility. So that's the law, that they have to have a kennel license, and in Peabody, that's how you get one.
I'll yield to my feeling that a few of them want to speak on this matter.
All right, Counselor McGinn and then Counselor Gamache.
Yes. Well, first off, through you to Councilor Rossignol, this is exactly the same situation, just so there's no ambiguity around that. And again, specific to this one, she has not, I've been in touch with her already. She has not engaged an attorney. I don't think there's going to be any kind of significant expense here. So on this one, I want to I don't want to hold this one up because she's being proactive and moving quickly, so, you know, I want my motion to stand on this and that we proceed on it. With respect to the, with regard to the bigger issue, which I think is very valid, I think it maybe makes sense to refer it to the city solicitor to see if, because it is, you know, the clerk is right, it's in the use table and requires a special permit, so, but we maybe could see, because this is a new mass law, if we could refer it to the city solicitor to see if there's some way we could address it in a blanket fashion. That might be address what you're looking for.
And I'm sorry, Councillor Rossignol, I might have taken the floor from you. Before we go to Councillor Gamache, were you
Yes,
good?
I'll yield.
Oh, you'll yield. Okay, we'll go back to you. Councillor Gamache.
Yes, in the same idea as Councilor McGinn had to ask the city solicitor, I'll also ask the city solicitor if we could possibly utilize that as a simple transfer of special permit where the building inspector or whoever be the one that would make a simple transfer if they're not going to do something that's out of the ordinary that they're doing presently and just give them the license without having to come forward. We did that with special permits. I think that's, you know, if there's no change in it, let it go forward and have the building inspector just send us a letter saying everything's approved and we don't have to make them come here. That would be my suggestion to Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Councillor Gamache. I think that's personally a great suggestion. I'm going to go back to Councillor McGinn and then Rossignol.
Thank you, Madam President. Appreciate it. I think just as I was listening to Councilor Gamache, I think one other department that we should add to this is health, because they've chimed in on all these, and they've gotten much more clear on their requirements over the past few years. So there may be some of these that have been out there for years that don't have that list of health department requirements, that we want to make sure that they do have those and they are now in compliance, so we don't want to lose track of that. So I would add that to my suggestion if you want to ultimately make that motion.
Thank you, Councillor McGinn. Great suggestion. Councillor Rossignol.
Actually, there's a motion on the floor.
Is there?
Yes.
All right.
The motion was to receive 8I and set up a public hearing.
Thank you. You heard that motion. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. I'm going to go back to McGinn. Councilor McGinn, please.
I don't think you ever left me. Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 10A, which is ready for council adoption, an ordinance amending section 18-21 entitled Rates of Compensation for Full-Time Positions Not Subject to Collective Bargaining of the Code of the City of Peabody, which this is the one relative to the Public Works Foreman motor equipment, and I would move to receive and adopt as advertised. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Councilors Turco,
Yes.
Peach.
Yes.
Gould. Gamache.
Yes.
Higgins.
Yes.
Manning Martin. Welton.
Yes.
McGinn.
Yes.
Rossignol.
Yes.
Melville.
Yes.
Daigle.
Yes.
Motion carries 11-0.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn.
Thank you, Madam President. No further motions.
Thank you, Councilor McGinn. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Madam President. Was 9A taken yet? I don't believe so. A motion to receive and approve all papers being in order. 9A, use of the Wiggins Auditorium, Peabody Educational Foundation. So moved.
You heard the motion, subject to all papers being in order. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Madam President. Motion to request community development to give feedback regarding 0 Calumet and 0 Springs Pond Road. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
Thank you, Madam President. Motion to send to the city solicitor our ability to have language for, help me with wording, to make the kennel mandate from the state just a normal transfer. So moved. Regarding Ollie's Law.
So the motion would be to change this process to similar to a special permit transfer
Yes,
without a hearing,
see what options we have
to get an opinion.
so that every single kennel that we already have in good standing, in good operations, won't have to go through the hoop of coming before us and converting it just into a transfer.
You heard the motion. Is the clerk clear on that?
So right now, I have 5 real kennels that go through the hoop, as you say.
So
Are they not included
what
in
I'm
this?
looking for is, I'm looking for the city solicitor to give us guidance so that those 5 petitioners don't have to spend time and money if they're in good standing and if they're in good process, that they won't have to get that special permit. It could be just a transfer into this new Ollie's Law. I'm just trying to save a business time and money. So I just want clarification from the city solicitor if we can make that process streamlined.
So these businesses that are coming to us do not have special permits. They don't have kennel licenses. The training facilities, and so the true definition of a kennel is that there's overnight boarding. And those people come before us, and we give them a license, and they pay for it every year. They just pay for a license, just like a dog license. But these people coming are a whole nother entity. So it's a different process. So it's possible we make 2 different levels of kennels, maybe with a second ordinance for just businesses that are grooming or dog daycare or training facilities. Maybe that's what you're looking for more so.
So the request is for an interpretation from the city solicitor. I am going to lean on Councilor Gamache.
If I may, if they don't want the kennel license and they're being mandated to make it a kennel license, what, I mean, it doesn't make sense for somebody who's got a small training facility to have a kennel license. I mean, our definition of kennel is overnight boarding, correct? Through you to the city clerk.
We have used it that way, yes.
Okay.
But now the state calls a kennel any business that has dogs in their facility for any purpose. Even if they don't actually have kennels in there, that's what the state's calling them.
This is another semantic by the state that's pushing something down our throats that isn't really fair to the businesses that have current licenses or current permits to do the things that without having any overnight boarding. It does, to me, it doesn't make sense. If somebody has been training and all of a sudden they're mandated to get a kennel license, as Councilor Rosenthal said, they don't want the kennel license, but they're being mandated to get it, and therefore they have to now go through a procedure to get that license, which is going to cost them money, but for something that they're never going to use. They're never going to board. But we'll leave that up to the city solicitor to interpret, as to what the way we can handle this. And like the clerk said, if we have to basically, chop it up and make it, training this and that, so be it. But I just feel, as Councilor Rosenthal has said, it's not fair to the business. They have to come in here and spend money in an economy that we have right now. So let's let the city solicitor tell us what to do, and we'll go from there. But I just don't think it's fair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Gamache. So the motion is to request an interpretation or recommendation from the city solicitor about kennel licenses. Okay. You all heard the motion. Any other discussion? Seeing none. All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Councilor Rossignol.
No further motions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Councilor Melville.
Under suspension of the rules, move to receive item 8E. So moved.
You heard the motion. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. Counselor Melville.
Thank you very much. I just want to again thank Councilor Manning Martin's work on that in the mayor's office, the veterans agent on the Purple Heart designation for the city of Peabody. Again, it's a good recognition of how we treat veterans in this city. And then additionally, just as a reminder, on Saturday, there'll be flagging of veterans' graves at Puritan Lawn Cemetery if you're looking for some exercise. It's always a really nice event. They already got Cedar Grove and St. Mary's and Harmony Grove and Monument are done. So Saturday will be 9 a.m. at Puritan Lawn. That's a big one. And then, as everybody knows, our annual Memorial Day ceremony at Cedar Grove, 9:30 a.m. So the veterans agent had sent this to me. Just wanted to send that out to everybody. And other than that, have a great weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Melville. Everyone have a great Memorial Day weekend, and we look forward to seeing you on Monday. Motion to adjourn.